must leave all your belongings behind.
You 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 must leave all your belongings behind. All your belongings behind.
What is African metal?
What is African metal?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can define that yet.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the bands want to have a definition for it. They just want to be metal bands. If they're not afraid to use what they have, like in their local traditions, then that's maybe there's that unique Africanness to the metal, but it shouldn't make it stand out the way we don't define Finnish metal, because some bands are using aspects of their country's history, whether it be the oral poetry or a traditional chants. I don't think it should be defined that way, but I think that's just still our Western view of Africa, of having expectations of what Africa is. I don't know. I have different opinions about African metal than other people will, but what do I know?
I would consider you the foremost expert.
Sure. I remember here in Kenya specifically, there was that idea that there's that part in the chapter of the book where one of the musicians pulls me aside and says that we don't want to sound anything else than what we already sound like, because it would actually just change the style and change the form of music.
Yeah.
It'd lead to something else, maybe a whole new genre. And there's nothing stopping traditional acts that want to play a little fusion of adding an electric guitar, let's say, in their band, but that doesn't make it a rock band all of a sudden, But that's what they're afraid of. If you haven't read Heavy Metal Africa, I highly recommend it. It's a very good book. You can cut that part out. I can say this. There's a really good book that explains all of that and has this dialogue. It's called Heavy Metal Africa. And that conversation I'm alluding to is in chapter 3. Life, Passion, and Heavy Metal in the Forgotten Continent, now available on Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Yeah, so, how do you think, the music can progress here in Africa? How can they get onto the main stage?
They need to take themselves a bit more seriously. And we when I say we, I mean Westerners. I'm from the United States. We as in the North America, the Canada, the USA, all of Western Europe, even countries like Japan and like Australia, New Zealand that have a fairly developed musical acumen and culture. We need to also take it a bit more seriously too of what bands in other regions are doing. Part of it is that there is a lack of, let's just say, musical acumen, business acumen, and the idea of how things work in the West. They have an idea in Africa of what they think it works like, but it really is far different. They don't know the touring culture. So being an American, I know I grew up with meeting bands and going to shows of bands that would lock themselves in a van and hit the country. And America's quite vast, so you could just keep doing 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 cities where you're playing in front of 3 people, you're not making any money, you're sleeping in parking lots, and that's always what we thought how it worked, and that's what built those bands. So whenever those bands got progressively to larger levels, they were already used to that idea of setting up your own gear, of working through crappy PAs, of knowing what it's like to have an unresponsive audience, of knowing what it's like to have to perform live on very little sleep and whatnot. These bands here don't. They don't know that. That's not a culture that they do. They set up, they play their shows, and sometimes when they get these shows, they get these nice big PA systems and these big stages. Maybe sometimes, not all. I just in my head was visualizing South Africa, but that sort of acumen doesn't really exist. It is a part, like, there's no network also in Africa as to how to help you negotiate contracts, or what's it like when actually you do get a response from a European label, or well, any record label. What's that like to have to navigate? You don't know that you should probably call a lawyer first and how those things going out for you. That sort of that aspect of the music world just doesn't exist in Africa. Not quite yet. It exists a little bit in South Africa now, but the South Africans, I think, took that into their own hands. They got fed up with waiting, and they got fed up with waiting to be taken seriously, so they just took it all themselves and built it up. It's all these good festivals that we see in South Africa now, the Metal for Africa Festival, the Cranked Up festivals, they're all South African festivals by South Africans. Because they just decided they needed to learn. Sometimes the musicians came back after having lived overseas. They eventually resettled back into South Africa with that knowledge, or some have been fortunate enough to be able to travel outside of the continent, and they saw firsthand of what it was like in Europe or North America. It's like, guys, this is what the scene here is like. This is how things work. This is what we need to start doing.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah.
That's really awesome. And this is why I consider you the expert. I mean, you've been all over Africa. You've seen the different scenes and stuff. So
Yeah.
you are you are the guy, the go-to guy, I think, for if people want to come into Africa and figure out what's going on here. I mean, I feel like they should get in touch with you.
If you
you're
have
the guy with the contacts.
Yeah, if you have, I don't think people realize it's not that easy. I think South Africa and Kenya, and Botswana specifically, are the soft landings in Africa. No one goes to Madagascar.
Yeah.
You don't know what that's like. And I've traveled through the continent, and I've seen poverty.
Yeah.
And I describe it in the book. That's the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I was just in Togo, which is just very basic.
Yeah.
Like, people, you just don't go there. Like, they it's not a tourist spot. These aren't vacation spots. There's very little of that. Actually, I don't even know where you would go on vacation in Madagascar.
Yeah.
Like, there's no luxury hotel that you just land up and let's go to these sites and let's go visit these places. That stuff just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The metal scenes, though, they're on their own. I mean, they're working, they're existing. I don't know if metal tourism is a real thing.
Yeah.
I always think if it does exist, it exists for Europe. Like, we, as a global metal world, always look at Europe as the epicenter of heavy metal, so we're going to go there for heavy metal. That's where the African bands want to go. They want to go to Europe.
Yeah.
You know?
So does that just make us the weird people for coming here then?
It makes me the guy that just wants to come back and see how the scene has changed. Yeah, maybe it makes you the weird guy for saying, but you are African.
I am, yeah.
You already have a basis foundation for how things could work in Africa. Yeah.
I did find that as soon as I landed, I went, oh yeah, this is Africa. This is a familiar sight for me.
Coming from this was one of the second trip I did from the South Africa Botswana.
Yeah.
I think, because I was able to cross those borders through land, so I made that one big trip. I landed in Nairobi, and I said, after coming from Johannesburg, I said, this feels like, okay, I already feel familiar. It already feels familiar.
Yeah.
The roads aren't as good,
Yeah.
but aside from that, everything culturally still kind of felt similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think people need to know if they're coming here to experience?
So the Nairobi Metal Festival,
Yeah.
be patient. It's not going to be like anything you've seen. It's not going to be like anything you work. Time is going to be a little different, so we're going to say the show starts at this time. It's actually going to go at that time.
Yeah.
Set time between sets is going to go a lot longer. Things just work here the way that they do. Not that it's bad. If you'd like to learn more about the scenes, really, just check out my book. It's pretty I'm kind of overwhelmed. I'm still like feel it's kind of humbling to see that all these years after the book's come out that there's still interest in it. There's still interest in the research and the work that I've been doing. It's the point where I'm writing another book because a publisher reached out for me about that, That's been kind of moving. I've been kind of shocked by it all.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on it, and I didn't really think anyone was going to be that interested in it. I really thought if I sold like 100 copies of the book, I would feel that like, this is my success. 100 people have been interested in what I've done.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to write the book to fulfill a personal curiosity. So, I mean, here we are with the book came out 3 years later, 6 years after I originally visited Nairobi.
Yeah.
And this is the third or the second Nairobi Metal Festival with an international band coming in from Germany, and you as an international visitor, and there's a few others coming in. I mean, here we are. We'll see how it goes. South Africa has its own scenes now. There's more international bands coming there to visit. There's a big metal festival now in Botswana.
Yeah.
So maybe things are looking up. It's just a matter of being taken seriously. Like, you know, that's really it.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for talking to me, dude.
Sure, man.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks. I thought you had more.
What's up with this generation? What's up with our generation? What's up with the flame of mine? Yeah. Just walking till no end. Find it hard to make a friend. Getting further and further from a kind. Yeah.
Insert got you crazy and a plan out human evolution. Killing me and be head to song. Insert got you crazy and a plan out human evolution. Killing me and be head to song. Head to song.
What's up with this generation? What's up with our generation? What's up with our frame of mind? Yeah. Just walking till the bend. Find it easy to start a trend. Getting further and further from a kind. Yeah.
Insert got you crazy and a plan out human evolution. Killing me and be head to song. Insert got you crazy and a plan out human evolution. Until he and be head to song. Head to song. Which way to go? We are way too spoiled for choice. Which way to go? Which way to go? Find it hard to block out the noise. Block out the noise! Block out the noise!
My name is Rico I'm the director of Hardcore Health Foundation. We are a non-profit organization in Germany. and we have all kinds of humanitarian projects. One of them is in Germany, like we collecting goods for homeless people and refugee families, and we have a project in the Philippines where we're supporting a school, and we have several projects in Kenya. Like we work with several non-profit organizations here on the ground, but also with local maintenance water service companies who do repair work in rural areas. How the charity works? For example, we collect all kinds of merchandising, but also clothes. Second-hand merchandising, but also new merchandise. We get them from bands, or we get them from just donors, hardcore kids, punk kids, or from organizations or merch companies. And then we sell them at concerts, festivals, also online. And everything which goes from the sales goes 100% back into the projects we do. Also, we have a small DIY printing studio in our warehouse where we print our own merchandise, or most of our, we have like 25 designs, and I would say 70-80% we print ourselves, DIY. We also print for other organizations, or for schools, or for other customers in our town. That's how we fund ourselves. We have like 3 employees, or our staff is 3 at the moment. With the printing side is how we finance my job, or our jobs, and the donations we get is split it in our charity. Like, all the donations go directly to the projects.
Cool. That is a very in-depth explanation. That is amazing. Like, I could just throw this away and ask you one more question and it'll be done.
Sorry.
No, that's great. It really makes my job a lot easier when people actually are just happy to just tell you everything you need to know.
Okay.
So how did the idea for Nairobi Metal Fest come about then?
Like we started projects in 2012.
Yeah.
This were the first projects we came doing here on the ground. And at that time I didn't know that there was actually something like hardcore punk or metal or even underground music concerts going on in this country. And in 2015 I coincidentally, through Facebook, I found out that there was a band from Nairobi, Last Year's Strategy, and I just contacted them. I was very curious, and then a few weeks later, when my next trip was planned, I got up to meet with David, and it was really awesome to meet those guys. I visited them at home, and I saw what kind of music they were listening to, and I was really surprised how up to date they were from the releases. And then I don't know, we kept talking, and in 2016 we had this idea to do like a benefit show in Kenya. Because the first years when we started, we have all these benefit shows in Europe, in Germany, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Finland, in Sweden, in Italy. We had all kinds of benefit shows. But yeah, we had this idea, why won't we do a benefit show in Kenya with Kenyan bands, and the profit we make, we just keep in Kenya. Yeah. And I don't know, it was an awesome show back then. In Marabou Club, a little bit outside town, with Last Year's Tragedy, with Rock of Ages, Parking Lot Grass, very old band, and it was a packed night, 250 people. Wow. Really awesome. That's how actually we started doing shows here in 2016. That was really, really fun to see how people this energy.
Yeah.
Like, it's undescribable. You saw it this
Yes.
weekend. It's undescribable how this energy in the room, people, how excited they are and go nuts the whole night and
Yeah.
have a good time. And
I had to go get footage of that, man. It was insane. Like, the kids they mad.
yeah, and they're also very thankful. Like,
Yeah.
after the show, they come to you and ask you when is the next show. And they
Yeah.
even give me flowers.
All right. That's awesome. So in saying that, when is the next show?
We're looking at it, maybe in April or May.
All right, cool.
But Nairobi Metal Fest, we're gonna keep it like every year. So we're looking at it that we maybe can do it again end of September, early
Alright.
October next year.
Oh, that's awesome. So then, like, what are some of the difficulties that you face organizing this festival? Because you don't actually live here.
No, it's quite difficult to do work here on the ground or just I don't know how to explain it. People here, I mean, it's very tough to live and also to do business on a long term. People here more think short time. Like, they don't think about tomorrow, what's in the future. They actually think about, what's today. And that's how you see it also with business. They would like to have the payment right now and not like the end of the night, or they give you another price on the next day. Like, it's very difficult to do business with people on long term.
Yeah.
Like, for what I'm used to, or how we had used in Germany or in Europe, like if you do business with someone, you do it more often, you get better conditions, or it's how trust is built.
Yeah.
You know,
you get like a mates rates type of thing.
Yeah, it's about giving and taking.
Yeah.
It's very important to create a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Here it's quite a challenge because they really don't think about what's in a few months, or it's actually just, I gave you this price today, and tomorrow we have new rates.
Yeah.
And that is sometimes very difficult. Like we had this weekend the 6th show, and it was the 4th location. Like, we had some struggles with a few locations where it was very difficult to do another show. Like, then we had the first show, it was okay, and then the next show we had to pay 3 times higher rent. I'm like, why? And that is what I think is, a lot of things are difficult to keep going. You need to you need to get used to it, and you need to find the right people. It's not always. It's like I said, it's a challenge.
Yeah. And what would you like to do with Nairobi Metal Fest in the future?
Well, I would like that we could get more sponsors. That would be a goal for the future. That like all the international bands who've been played before, they all saw it as a holiday trip. I mean, I said to him, "Hey, you can play. Well, it's not something which we can fund from the show fees, because we try to keep the door fees as low as possible. Because you see, guess here, there's a lot of kids who are not rich. They mostly come from poor areas, and we want to keep it like that. We want to give that everyone has a chance to come to these shows. So at the end of the night, we don't have anything left. We just pay the back line and the sound guy, or the club and the local bands. And at the end of the night, like, there's nothing left. We don't want to do shows to make money. It's just to keep this scene growing. Because a lot of people who come to these shows, they need some recognition. You hear stories from friends, that they suffer from depression. It's not easy to walk around with a metal shirt in public. They get insulted. They think people insult them for being satanic or possessed by the devil. Metal has a quite negative name here. So I don't know. We try to give a more positive outlook there, and also the people who come to these shows, that they feel welcome, that they know there's a community where I'm welcomed, you know, where
Yeah.
I can go. And it doesn't matter if I paint my nails or I wear a metal shirt, if I'm gay or Muslim or Christian, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I just go there to have a good time
Yeah.
with each other, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of our goals.
Cool. And then final question before I let you go and the drum clinic can start. Who's your favorite band?
My favorite band, my all-time favorite band.
All-time favorite band.
Oh, that's a tough question. Oh. Well, I would say the band who made the biggest impression on me for a long time and still, I think it's Bad Brains.
All right, cool.
That is for me, yeah,
The ultimate.
yeah. I would say Bad Brains.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, of course, the early Metallica, Untouchable,
Yeah.
so many other bands, Minor Threat, Old Sigafador, so many good bands.
Cool,
But
man.
Bad Brains is, yeah, one of my all-time favorite bands.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for talking to me.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot for having me here and
Yeah,
letting me
I hope
film
you had a good
everything. It was awesome.
Cool, cool.
Really good time.
See you next year then.
Cool. Thanks, yeah. Cheers, dude. All right.